Hi. I'm Amy Feldman.
And I'm Mara Allen.
And welcome to our podcast called Calababes.
Calababes in the house.
We are in the house.
Yeah, we are.
But usually we are in a place called Peddler's Fork at our normal booth with our local Calabasas friends, which is a restaurant in Calabasas, and we have our tea and coffee there after drop off.
Like it's the beginning to our day. It's what sets our day off in the right direction.
Yes.
Peddler's Fork.
And we have our locals there. Well, I guess we're the locals too. That we're used to seeing every day. And one of our Fork Club members is Brian Austin Green, who is a guest today with us. Hi, Brian. Welcome to Calababes.
Brian.
Thank you.
Calababes in the house.
We were just talking about how...
Wait, do I actually fit that? I mean, because I'm...
Where do you live?
You're in the club.
Where do you live?
I'm in, right. All right.
You live in Calabasas.
And you're in the Fork Club.
You live in California. You live in LA.
I love that you call it the Fork. That it's like you have a nickname for a name that's already short.
I don't have a lot of time.
My name is Brian and my nickname is Bry. Like, right. Yeah, just cut off the two last letters.
Or B or bag. B-A-G.
Yeah, I hear bag sometimes, but I hear B a lot also.
What's up, B?
So Brian, we miss seeing you at the Fork. We're used to seeing all of our local homies.
It's crazy. I can't believe that we have to do this on Zoom instead of at the Fork. Like instead of you sitting at your normal table and all of that. It's crazy.
Brian, you know what? I feel like you really need a big hug right now.
I know.
I do. I need a virtual hug right now.
Oh, Brian.
Oh, thank you.
Big squeeze.
We're always here for you, though, Brian.
We are. You can call us anytime.
Anytime. So, Brian, I saw that your dad is a country musician.
Yeah, he was. He's a drummer. So he was touring doing country when I was born. He was touring with Glenn Campbell.
Okay. Yeah.
He played on like the Rhinestone Cowboy album and Southern Nights and all that stuff. And then he stopped touring when I was about 3 because he was gone so much. I got to the point where he would come home and I was sort of like, who is like, I didn't totally recognize him and it freaked him out. Oh. So he was like, I'm done touring. Like, I'm just going to do studio stuff and stay home. Oh, so then he did he played on Frank Sinatra albums and he played with like the Doobie Brothers and he did all sorts of stuff. He did all the Glenn Larson shows. So he did all the music on The Knight Rider and Fall Guy and The Simpsons and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
So yeah, when Homer Simpson would be in the car listening to like the Joker, Steve, and they couldn't get the rights to that song, they would replay that song and re-sing it. So it was all original.
That's amazing.
And my dad would play the drums.
I love it. I love country music. I'm a huge Dolly Parton fan.
Are you really?
Huge.
Where are you from?
Huge. I think she actually even has a Dolly wig. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I know that.
I do know that.
Where are you from originally?
New Jersey. I has something to.
So why country music then? Was it playing in the kitchen? Like, were your parents into country music, and so it was always playing in the kitchen when you got up?
So honestly,
on your own, found country music. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna go away from what you guys do. I'm gonna stray a bit, and here's how.
I'm gonna tell you where it came from. College. Which is the most bizarre thing because me and my roommates in Jersey, every single night, everyone came back to our house after all the bars for the after party. And me and my roommates would sit in the kitchen with the boombox with the Dolly and Kenny tape. And we would listen to it and sing and dance. And we would sit in we weren't even involved in the party. And it became this love of Dolly and Kenny. But it would so anger the people at our house that the party goers,
understandable,
hide our tape.
Where is Kenny and Dolly?
So it started as a joke. It started as like a prank, like, "Hey, we're gonna play the Dolly and Kenny tape."
It just, I don't even know
I've
where the
really
tape
grown
came
to
from.
love this music. Like, what was the evolution?
I don't know if it's like an after party thing that we just always Dolly and Kenny, let's put it on. You know what I mean?
And rewind.
But who? Okay, but who first supplied the tape? And it was a cassette tape, right?
Absolutely.
It was a cassette tape, and that's what I can't remember. I have no idea where the tape came from and why.
Did you go to Virgin and buy the tape, or did it just Amoeba?
Well, no, because I was in Jersey. So
Yeah, you were in Jersey. There is no Amoeba in Jersey.
No.
Right.
Cali girl.
Calababes is in the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know. I really don't know where the tape came from. But
The burning question. Those are the things people want to know.
I call my roommates and ask them, like, where did that tape come from? And where is it?
Hey, I was asked today and I couldn't answer the question. I was sort of stuck. Who bought the damn Dolly and Kenny tape?
Exactly. But so nowadays I go back to the Jersey Shore every summer.
Mm-hmm.
We rent a house in Avalon with all my college girlfriends and all of their kids. And every night,
You guys all just get drunk and listen to Kenny and Dolly Parton.
yes,
Good for you.
we'll stay up till like 5 a.m. listening to Dolly and Kenny and watching.
Wait, till when?
Till 5 in
You'll
the
stay up till 5 a.m? That's I haven't seen 5 a.m. in
Well, it's
like,
really 2 a.m. my time that I'm used to because I'm from California now. But yeah, and then we're exhausted the next day at the beach.
But you don't have to do anything. So
and hungover and yeah.
Dolly
Kids
Parton
won't drown.
wigs and
I know.
the Fork was a great place for us to plan her next Jersey Shore.
Right, yeah.
because
Right.
it was like, what
It
do we
would take all year.
What
We had
what beer
graph paper.
cozies picture are we putting on this year? What Dolly picture? And
Yes. It was,
yeah, it's a Dolly theme every year. We have a flag that we put at the beach with Dolly and Kenny on it.
I mean,
Have you been to Dollywood in Tennessee?
Okay, I have not done that yet.
We're gonna
Okay,
go.
well, that's your next trip.
Yes.
See, when the Fork opens again, that'll be the next group meeting.
That's what
Hollywood.
is first
Done.
on the agenda.
It is.
When am I going to Dollywood?
All right.
I do need to go to Dollywood.
Glad I was here for this.
All
I'm
because
glad I was a part of this planning.
me too.
Brian, do you like country music?
No.
but you like jazz.
No, let me be a little more specific instead of just broadly saying no. I like classic country music. I like Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton and Kenny.
You do like Dolly.
You like Dolly.
Well, I absolutely respect what she did, and she was an amazing. Reba McEntire was an amazing singer. Like you've got that group. But it's now, country is grown with the times, and it's not. I don't enjoy it as much now. It's not that I don't think it's good. I just think every genre of music has grown except for jazz. I think jazz is the only one, and opera hasn't changed.
Were you a Kenny Roger fan?
No.
No. So you did not care that he just died.
What?
You didn't care that he just died.
No. Did he?
Brian!
Brian, you're fired.
All right, we're done. We're not doing this.
Okay, we're out. Okay, podcast cut.
So Brian, in college, because we were talking about college, I did watch 90210 and then Melrose Place afterwards, and then we would go out.
Right.
We would sit, the frat house or wherever we were at the time, we would watch it. And I have this one episode in my head.
Oh, jeez. I don't know if that's very good news. It's not a good start. Go ahead.
Okay, so you were David, and then we had
It's
Tori
like a horror
Spelling.
movie, isn't it?
Got it.
Why is the light flickering where you guys are? Like, you guys have flashlights under your chin? Okay, go ahead. So, right.
Okay,
It was an
David and
eerie Thursday night. We were watching. Okay, go ahead.
So I remember. Okay, so you guys were both virgins.
Yeah. It's not a good start. Okay. Go ahead.
It's like season 4. You're both still virgins,
Right.
right? And correct me if my facts are wrong, but because college was a very long time ago for me.
You know what? It'll be tough for me to correct anything because I don't have much of a memory from that time period. I've sort of blurred most of those 10 years out.
Okay, so you guys are both virgins. You're dating, And you go out to the parking lot. I think you just DJ'd or something like that. And you went out to the parking lot and there was that girl, Ariel.
Oh, yeah. So that was a Babyface episode. Babyface performed. It was a carnival.
Okay.
And I performed, and she was the manager or something. And then, yes, I had sex with her for the first time.
She opens the car door, right?
And there were condoms. And
David come in, and you get in the car. We're like, no!
right. How did you do this?
Don't do it! Get out of the car!
Too late.
So what happened?
Time machine.
To give you a little background on Mara, she grew up in a teepee.
Oh.
So she didn't have the luxuries like I did of watching 90210.
You grew up in a teepee? Wait, hold on a second. We have to fucking get into that. You can't brush over that like, oh, hey, let me just throw in this fact. She grew up in a teepee.
It's hard to
I had a friend that grew up on a bus, that was born on a bus. So I want to get into this story a little bit.
Okay. Well, okay.
Whoa.
So I did grow up in a teepee, but I was born at home in Santa Cruz, like at home birth.
It's like
And then how did that turn into living in a teepee?
Well, my parents actually split when I was 2, and my dad moved to Ojai, California. You've probably
Right.
heard of it. And so my mom's, we were like hippie days. Everybody was friends. So you get divorced, but you stay BFFs. So my mom moved to Ojai so that I could be raised with both parents. And it was basically like, it was just one big happy family. And yeah, with my mom, I lived in the teepee. With my dad, I had the house. I had a little of both. And I resonate with both.
Was the teepee on the property? Was it like, I'm going to go in the yard, like just camping for 2 nights?
No. It was like walk through the woods, over the river. I mean, when it was a rushing river, it was like 2x4s over the river, So, I mean, nowadays.
But did you guys have like a parenting schedule that you like, I'm going to go to the teepee on Wednesdays and Thursdays?
I think my mom got me most of the time.
They have to like smoke
signal.
signals
Smoke signal.
Yeah.
Come get your daughter.
Mara.
Yeah. It's switch time. We're not meeting at Starbucks. We're going to meet at the riverbed.
Right. And then all of a sudden you're in a teepee, but your dad or your mom has a pager and things have progressed. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that was before pagers even came out. So not to date myself or anything, but yeah, it was definitely pre-pager. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. It made me who I am today, a little kooky, but I also had the mainstream. So,
So you watched 90210.
I actually did see a few episodes.
Right. When she had power.
Yeah, when I had power. When I was at my dad's, I got that. But I was such a hippie, like at TV, like that was like, whatevs. I'm gonna go like play in the riverbed or something. So
yeah, totally.
I know of it. I didn't actually grow up like completely off the grid. So
but it's a show, not just a city in California, right?
Right. Which I knew it was a show, but I probably didn't realize it was a city in California until much later.
Well, now, and learning's half the battle. So
what? I'll be honest with you. When I first met you, I actually didn't realize that was you because that's how few times I've seen it. So now I think I might go watch.
I didn't either. So I'm right there with you.
Watch season 4, episode 12, and see what David did. I'm still mad.
And it's interesting.
Well, you're like an elephant. I can't believe you've never forgotten that. And you still hold it against me, but it was a character. It was a written script, but you hold it against me.
You've seen a show where you feel it and you're like embarrassed for the person, or you're like, don't do it. You like, what's going to happen. And you're like, no.
But he did it.
Oh,
he did it. He cheated
I kind of felt the same way when I watched episode 3 of Star Wars, when I knew that Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. And you're at the end going, no, and it's going to happen, and like the outcome, and you're praying like something's going to happen, and that's not going to. And sure enough, Darth Vader, he rose.
Were you upset when you read that script that you had to get in the car with Ariel?
no.
It's like
Because it was a show. It was a job. That's like, were you upset that somebody didn't put cinnamon in the coffee? Who gives a shit? It was a job. I wasn't like, invested in like that, those little microcosms of what's the character. We did the show for 10 years. It was like they just handed us scripts and we shot.
But
We were surprised that after 10 years, they could still come up with storylines.
That's true.
It's interesting that it happened at a carnival.
Yeah.
And you were performing?
Yes. I was performing, Babyface was performing, and I was playing keyboards for him on stage.
Okay. So did that launch your music career? Because
In real life?
No. So
rapping music career?
no, that's a good question though. That's a really good correlation.
Like something about a carnival.
All that tipi time. See, yeah. You're processing well.
I am.
So I had, before that episode, I had been sort of like producing music and doing stuff for fun. I was a kid. And a buddy of mine who was a keyboard player, this guy named Ralph, he had submitted a cassette tape to Babyface because they were looking for new producers. And a couple of the songs that I had done just for fun were on the tape. And so Babyface was saying to him, he was like, "Oh, I really like this song." And Ralph was like, "Oh, I didn't do that." And he was like, "I really like this song." And my buddy Ralph was like, "I didn't do that song either. I'm sorry, those were on the tape." And all of a sudden I'm at dinner with Babyface and his wife, and they were going to start a new label, and they were asking me what I wanted to do. And I was like, "I don't fucking know. I'm like 19. I have no idea." That's an interesting question. And so he did the show because I was already working with he and his wife. So I went to him and said, "Hey, do you want to come do an episode of the show?" So when he showed up, it was like I had already been working with him and whatever. So it actually happened in reverse. That was a thing on the show that was like, oh, that's the thing that propelled him into really serious music. But I was already doing music before that.
So you launched his music career.
No, because Babyface already had a big, he was already like the number one producer in the world at that point. He was doing like Boys to Men stuff and TLC stuff. I mean, he was producing everything. So at the point when I met with him, it was like meeting with the king of the world. I mean, I grew up in music, and that was everything for me. So I was sitting at a dinner table thinking to myself, holy shit, I'm sitting at a dinner table with Babyface and his wife. Like, how the fuck did this happen?
Do you call him baby?
No.
What do you call him?
So Kenny is his name. Okay. Kenny Edmonds. So he quickly was like, yeah, don't call me Babyface or Face or Baby. So yeah, Kenny. Kenny and Tracy.
Okay, so we're still on the music thing because I know you have a birthday coming up, and apparently, because I actually had to check this out, your launch of your album in '96 was my birthday, November 5th.
Was it really?
Were you like, was that for me? Can I just like pretend you were like putting that out for me?
Yeah. Thank you. I was like, you know what? Somebody grew up in a teepee, and I want to fucking put this out on that person's birthday. Yeah.
Exactly.
So 30 years later, 25 years later.
How would we know? How would we know the synergy of all of this? Amy actually has a November birthday. So those are something that we always, share in common.
What sign is that, November?
Scorpio.
Interesting. Not to be judgmental, but
people always say, wow, you're a Scorpio. I think they're always surprised I'm a Scorpio, but don't mess.
It will.
Yeah, right. Don't mess.
Right. See, there's the Scorpio right there.
That's
don't
right.
mess.
Came out.
Yeah, it just came out.
All right.
Okay, so Brian.
Hello, welcome to the party.
You were born on a bus?
Yeah, can we go back to that?
No, a friend of mine. So a friend of mine growing up, this kid named Rainbow, who's now a man, was born on a bus in, I think, Oregon. His parents converted a school bus into a house, and they lived on that, and he was born on the bus.
It totally sounds normal to me.
And you're still friends with Rainbow?
Yeah, that's normal.
Right.
For her, that's normal.
So what's the story? I don't get it.
Yeah, okay.
Are you still friends with Rainbow?
What?
Are you still friends with Rainbow?
I'm not. I haven't. I'm friends. We had a group. It was like 4 or 5 of us. I hung out with David Faustino, who was Bud Bundy on Married with Children. This guy Robert Gavin, who lives at the Oaks, right by Peddler's Fork. And so Rainbow lives out of state, but we still do group texts every once in a while, and so I've seen pictures of him. He looks exactly the same. Like it's a fucking time machine. He owns a flux capacitor.
Does he go by Bobo now?
What?
Does he go by Bobo now?
Still goes by Rainbow. He's stuck it out. He's committed.
He is very committed.
Wow.
Yeah. That's commitment. Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to share a little tidbit with you since we're on the subject. I don't usually share this with anyone, but my kids love to tease me about it. My middle name.
Uh-huh.
So thank goodness they couldn't fit the whole thing on my birth certificate, so it's shortened. But my actual name is Mara Leaf Falling Moon. Okay? They could only fit leaf on the birth certificate, thankfully. So now it's
son of a bitch. Right.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now it's all digital.
So I don't know if me and Rainbow are related or if that bus passed through from Oregon. I don't know what happened there, but
your mom might have been on that bus.
And her name is Rain, right. So we don't know.
My goodness.
We're going to have to do
a family tree.
See, that's fucking awesome though. Like I love that. Our Journey, the youngest, the one that I bring to Peddler's Fork all the time, his middle name is River. Nice. Because I was a big fan of River Phoenix growing up.
Aww.
But that whole family, you've got Lee Phoenix, who is now Joaquin Phoenix. It's like it was the same thing. It was a very like nature-based family.
Yeah. Keeping to the roots.
Yeah. I really brought this down with that story, didn't I?
No, you didn't. I'll bring it back
up. It was going to come out. It was going to come out eventually.
River Phoenix passed away. All right, that's been our show.
So in real life,
you
dated Tori Spelling.
No.
What?
We didn't date. We were young and crazy and went to clubs and got drunk and fooled around, but we never actually like dated and were committed to each other.
Was it because of Ariel?
Was what because of Ariel?
that she wouldn't commit to you. Yeah.
That we didn't date. Yeah.
But so you guys just hung out a lot during 90210.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it was a. You got to think we had a really interesting group of, like, our cast was interesting age-wise. Like Tori and I were both the youngest, so we had a lot in common as far as experiences and all of that together. The guys, I was always really good friends with them, but they were much different experiences. Like they would travel and do stuff, and they always had these crazy stories, and they would travel and do stuff that I couldn't do. I was too young. So, I was close to them, but I had much more in common with Tori because we're only a few months apart. We're the same age. So we went out to Roxbury and, did all that kind of stuff. And and so things happen. We were
your
kids.
Fake ID say?
I didn't have a fake ID. I literally got in and they were like, "Oh yeah, come on in." I had my 17th birthday party at Bar One.
Oh my gosh.
Which I had been promoting for like 2 years. So not like, it was so illegal. It was insane.
We got away with so much. I am just grateful that there was no social media back in the day. Can we just be grateful?
I talked about it. Like when we were doing the show, there was no social media. There was no anything. So there were they weren't even really paparazzi. There were 3 like photographers that we knew their names, and we'd see them at places, and they'd have to, like Peter Parker, they'd have to like take a picture and develop it and then go sell it. Like it's, and it would come out in a magazine or in a newspaper, 4 days later. So it was, thank God we got away with all sorts of stuff.
In 5 minutes.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Now they take pictures in their car, and then they have laptops in their car, and they download them all, and they're online within like 10 minutes.
TMZ is reporting before you can get home.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was so on back to 90210, Luke Perry, so you weren't really that close with him because he recently passed.
So I don't I don't want to say that I wasn't really close with everybody, because I was, but it was kind of like how close you are to a sibling that you have, like an older sibling. Like they're done with school and they're like, I have an older brother, and he was older, and to the point where like I was a young kid and I was like, oh, it's awesome skateboarding. And he was like, he had like a motorcycle and was traveling the world and doing all sorts of stuff. So it wasn't that it wasn't that Luke and I or Jason or Ian weren't close because of the age difference, but we had just very different life experiences. I mean, Ian had already graduated from high school and college and was done with all of that. And the first year of the school, I was, or the show, I was still in school. I was in my senior year of school. So I was doing set school and all that. Jason was all done with it. So I'd leave the trailer, we'd have like a 15-minute school break, and I'd go to his trailer and we'd smoke cigarettes. Like that was the thing. So I knew Luke before the show started. We did a Dr. Pepper commercial before we started doing the show, and we were really, really close on that set. So when he came and did the show, it was like, oh, hey, I know you. And he knew me, and so we already had a built-in bond. But Luke was a really cool guy. Luke was one of those, what you see is what you get. Like he was exactly the same no matter what was going on. Like he didn't act like a really nice guy in front of you and then was an asshole as soon as he was out of your sight. Like he was, and that's the important thing to me, is like that people are, to me, who they are when nobody is watching. That's what really makes somebody who they are. It's easy to put on a fucking mask and and fit into a situation, but it's who you are when nobody's watching. And he was the type that if I would go like have lunch with him and we would spend an hour and a half doing something, that hour and a half was completely about me. And he was like completely in the moment. Phone was put aside, like, glasses were off. It was like he was completely connected, and he would hug you and he'd give you the biggest hug. Like he would just completely take you in. And it was really cool. And I learned a lot from him that way. Like that was always something that it was enviable. I never got a sense from him of being insecure or being concerned with what other people perceived of him, or it was very, he wore who he was on his sleeve, and I envied that, and I didn't completely understand it. And then I had some health issues for like three plus years, and I came out of that, and I felt like, you know what, I really understand it. Like I understand that he was that way selflessly. Like that's just who he was. And I really related to it. And so I look back fondly on that time now. And I really, I consider the fact that he's looking down on me, and I try and be as close to the example that he set as possible, because it was a great one. It was a great example.
Well, you seem like a very nice, genuine guy yourself. So, I mean, I don't know if you were always that way. You learned it from him, but that's how we see you as well.
That's how
my parents instilled a really good sense of morals. But I think watching my kids now, you can't, kids are little people. You can't. I've raised all three of my kids the exact same way, and they couldn't be any more different than they are. and you kind of get to that point where you're like, I don't get it. Like, where does this come from? And it's just, you sit back and you go, it's just what it is. It's just there. And again, you're reminded, like, oh, they're people. Like, I don't own my kids. I feel I'm raising them right now and keeping them safe and fed and educated. But at some point, I mean, my oldest son just turned 18, and he's got his complete own life, and he's his own person. And when people meet him and they're really complimentary of him, it makes me so proud, because it's like, that's not really because of me. I mean, morals and some of that are because of me, but he is who he is genuinely because he made the choices he did in growing up and in his own mind. And I remember when I was a kid making those also. So it's really cool.
That's awesome.
Well, it sounds like you have sweet kids, all
Yeah,
of them.
All of them are sweeties.
Got so lucky.
They're really cool. Yeah, I'm really lucky. They're really good kids.
You also do something called generosity water.
Yeah, it's all around the world. So this, a church that my wife and I went to called Oasis, the head pastor started with his son, his younger son, who was, I think he was 17 at the time, started a charity where they would build fresh water wells around the world in areas that needed them, that didn't have access to clean water. And as we started like really listening and paying attention, I'm really, so is Megan, but I'm really into being aware of that and helping however I can, being aware of what's going on outside of my home and outside of this country. And I started like really studying it and talking to this kid, Jordan, who was doing it, who's amazing, and like really educating myself on it and what exactly they do. And it costs about $5,000 a well, but what they will do is they will find a local team, and that team will go and drill until they're deep enough to hit the natural water table, and they'll build a well. And for that area and surrounding areas, they then forever have access to clean water. And generosity water doesn't just do that. They now educate on maintaining cleanliness and how to wash clothes and hands and like how to do that. And when you realize that that up until those wells are built, there are women and children that walk 6 miles, 14 miles a day to get water that if you look at the water that they fill jugs with, you wouldn't let your dog drink out of these watering holes. I mean, it's like muddy, and there's cows and there's other animals drinking out of them also. And I can't imagine as a parent giving my child a glass of water and thinking this might be the last glass of water they drink. Like this could be the one that is so there's so much bacteria in it that this ends their life. But they have to have water. So I have to do it. And you don't want to, but what other choice do you have? So to see pictures and see, these wells built and these videos and the lives that are changed, it's unbelievable. And there are a lot of charities and I don't want to crap on any of them because I think they're all amazing, but I really connected with this one because I felt like the water crisis can be solved in my lifetime. Like this is something that I can be a part of and turn it around, and it can change. And with the help of companies like of these organizations like Generosity Water and all of these funds, it can really there can be a big enough impact that we can one day look back and go, yeah, everyone has access to clean water. And that's amazing for me. So I try, and whenever I can, and I'm doing different things, raise money for that charity because it's an amazing one. And I try and educate people as much as possible on what they can do and how they can be involved. And if they're not involved in that one, go do so. If you're fortunate, go help somebody less fortunate.
Can you tell us how they can get involved?
They can go to the site. They can go to generosity.org. Okay. And they can learn all about it. And that one's really cool because when you donate money, it doesn't just stop there. They give you the coordinates for the well that you're a part of. A plaque goes on the well saying who funded it. You can go visit it whenever you want. You can see the pictures when it was built. They make you a part of what it is you did, so you can see the effects of it. You're not just giving somebody money blindly and hoping that it's going to end up somewhere. I mean, 100% of the money that they make goes to funding these wells. And, you know, Megan and I have been working with them for years, and we've provided clean water for over like 14,000 people at this point, which is
that is really amazing, cool. Brian.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. That's wonderful. You guys are doing great work, and we all appreciate it.
Well, that's great. I'm going to go into that site.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like, why not? I mean, if you can donate $2, it's, you know, that's $2 from you and $2 from them, and it adds up. $5,000 isn't a lot of money. And and that can end up helping hundreds of people.
It's life-changing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. All right, well, we're in.
Yeah, awesome.
Calababes are in.
Do it, please.
We will.
We will definitely. Thank you for educating us on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Brian, you are also a rapper, correct?
I was. Yeah.
That's the album that came out on my birthday, dedicated to me.
Do you freestyle?
No. I do not. No, because I'll break something just trying. Just sitting in a chair, I'll pull a muscle or break something.
You flail when you rap? Like, I don't understand.
No, I'll break something in my mind that I can't fix. You know? No. What was funny was, you know, when I was meeting with Babyface and I ended up doing my album, at that point I had no intention of doing an album. And I grew up, like, hip hop was my culture during that time period, like the late 80s, 90s through 2000. That was like, hip hop was on the top of the charts at that point. And so that was my culture. I mean, you have kids that are, you know, that grew up in the 70s. And so that whole theme was a part of their lives. Hip hop was a part of my life. So at the point when an album was funded, and it wasn't funded by me, it wasn't self-funded. It was like, I got, you know, I ended up making this album with like all these people and groups and hip hop people that I loved. And I did this album. I had a blast. I had a blast doing it. I never expected it, but it was one of those, like, I look back on my life and I go, that's really cool. And I did that.
It is awesome.
Just hanging out with Babyface. Jeez.
At like 27, I did an album. It's really cool.
That is amazing.
Oh my gosh.
How did you guys end up thinking, like, we're gonna do this show? How did this come about?
Okay.
I mean, I know this is your show and you're supposed to ask me questions, but I'm gonna ask you questions now because I'm curious.
It's a good question.
So, well, the thing is, you know, we would sit at the fork and we would talk and we would make each other laugh the whole entire time.
Named just the fork. Like, Peddler's Fork is too long. Let's just call it the fork.
The fork.
I text people now and I'm like, PF.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll meet you PF for coffee.
I'll get a text from Amy, and it's just a fork.
A picture of the fork, of a fork.
And she's like, I had to
A fork
edit
with
it.
a mask on?
Yeah, I had to screenshot the silverware and just cut out the fork for you.
Yeah,
so
edit.
I just get the fork. It's the fork. Yeah, that is.
So we couldn't do that anymore because it closed, and so we were like,
temporarily, stop it. I'd like to rephrase what you're saying. It was temporarily closing the doors. All right, it's gonna reopen soon.
I don't know if it was because of us. They might have been, you know.
Amy, your attitude is terrible.
So bad.
I'm so disappointed. If I had a table, I'd flip it right now because I'm pissed.
Yes. Yeah, that was
right.
basically it. We had so much fun. We got so much done at the fork. We entertained her. I mean, I don't know. We would go there in the morning and like hours later, we'd be like, oh, whoops, is it lunchtime yet? You know, we should probably get out of here.
But
Right. After we order lunch.
Exactly.
that's when I feel like a big loser. When it became lunchtime and they got the lunch menu out, I'm like, I gotta go.
When the bar opens.
When the staff changes. When-
Yeah.
Staff changes, bartender comes in.
They're checking in. But we were like, we're so amusing to ourselves. What if other people think we're amusing? So that's why we started the podcast.
I don't know if he's very convinced.
No, this has been fun, but I mean, it's curious, like how, like, we're going to sit together in front of a green screen and do a show. Like that's a choice to make.
It is.
But you have a podcast too.
I do, but see, this is you guys being on Zoom and doing this whole thing and like being seen. Yeah, I have a microphone and headphones, and we've done the show for 3 years, and we literally don't prepare at all. Like he doesn't even live in the state, my podcasting partner. So I call him on Skype and I call him
Old school.
and yeah, right. Yeah. Skype. Right.
What's that?
Fucking Zoom. Jesus Christ.
What, MySpace? Are you guys connecting on MySpace?
Yeah. We fax each other questions. So yeah, we've been doing this show for 3 years, and we our format is we want it to feel like old friends that don't talk that often. So you just get an hour of our conversation a week when we do. And we make mountains out of molehills. That's what the show is based. We talk about whatever movies we've seen recently that have come out, or we shoot the shit about whatever. And
Yes, from you.
Yeah,
what was that?
Yeah, keep going. We want to get some ideas from you.
So, yeah, I don't know if you want my ideas, because my idea is like, listen, don't plan. I don't know if that's the best idea.
I don't know. We kind of aren't planning here, so.
You have plans? Yeah, throw those away.
Throw them away.
Throw out that fax.
It's the no plan, okay?
Just procrastinate, okay? Never do it. That's the plan from me. So in comparison, I mean, you guys, like, calling you on Zoom, it was like, oh shit, you guys have like 2 chairs and 2 glasses and a table and
Tea time.
like the whole thing.
It's
I
tea time.
recorded my podcast this morning with my oldest son who's staying with me. And we just called my partner. It was like, hey, you recording? He was like, yep. I was like, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the show. And we talk for an hour and 15. And then it's like, all right, see you later. We hang up, and that's the show. He edits the beginning and the end off and posts it.
So
Wow.
basically, this is a long work day for you. You've already done your podcast. Now you're on our podcast.
It's not really a work day though. I'm talking, which I don't have a social life anyway. So this is really, this is nice. This is like,
It's the fork.
You
Yeah.
guys missed us at the fork.
I do. I go to the fork now, and I have like 20-minute conversations with Sean at the coffee bar. Going, hey, that's really, hey, so tell me about, like, how'd you grow up? Where you, like, because I'm dying for, like,
I
Yeah, Brian, there's another customer.
yeah. And he's like Janine Garofalo and the cable guy. He's like, dude, I've got a lot of tables. Like, we're only letting in one at a time. You got to go.
Your time's up.
Coffee's cold. The cinnamon is sunk to the bottom.
Design is like.
Right. Yeah. The leaf now looks like, just cinnamon. There's no pattern at all.
It's a shake.
And I found out, because I'm fucking bored, because this quarantine sucks ass, that it's easier for them to make designs in a matcha latte compared to a chai, because a chai, the cinnamon, there's not enough contrast between a chai and the cinnamon powder that they put on top. Whereas with a matcha, this is so stupid. Everyone's like, fuck, click. You're going to move on. I love that I do this. Like, fucking remotes still exist.
Well, you learned a lot from Sean.
Right.
So, yeah, I asked. I was like, hey, so how come? Because that's way more detailed, that design, than the design that I get. And he's like, well, here's why. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It's another fucking dumb fact for up here.
Well, Brian, we wanted to thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. We so appreciate you. Why don't we end it with 3 things we're grateful for? Go.
I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my kids. And I'm grateful for my family and friends.
Oh, Brian.
That's so sweet. Well, I'm grateful also for my friends, not to be a copycat, but
What do you mean so sweet? Oh yeah, no, I'm grateful for Heineken. I'm grateful for hockey, and I'm grateful for I mean,
Well, yeah, those are some great points. Actually, you know what I'm grateful for at this moment is for you sharing that information about the water because I'm totally in for that. So I'm going to go ahead and that's one thing I'm grateful for is, you know, the other thing I'm grateful for along the same lines is our earth is healing during this time. So I'm very grateful for that. So those are my 3 things.
Okay, 3 things I'm grateful for. My California and Jersey friends for making me laugh all the time, because you guys all do. My family being healthy. And I want to, my last one will be, I feel like it has to be a good one because the third one, you know?
I know. And we already took all the good ones, so.
I know, I'm trying not to copy.
Don't be a copycat.
I'm going to say for this beautiful day.
I'm grateful for the lift and Dirty Dancing.
Oh.
I'll answer them for you.
Yeah.
I'll do it for you.
All right.
I'm grateful for the trombone because I just love the sound of it. I'm grateful for plastic glasses because I get wasted by the pool a lot during this quarantine.
See, now you have nothing, Amy. Nothing.
Damn it.
Right. All used up.
It's all done. You're done. You don't get any more. You get 2. 3 things you're grateful for. 3 things I'm grateful for. 2.
2. Yeah. Trombone and plastic, plastic utensils.
So, Brian, I want to thank you so much for joining us, Calababes
Thank
podcast.
Thank you.
We love you. We miss you.
Thank you for having me. This is crazy, isn't it?
It's so
crazy. Doing like breakfast every morning at a restaurant, seeing each other, and then like we're doing this.
Now we're Zoom talking. Virtual hugs, virtual loves, and we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
I'm happy to be here.
Awesome.
Oh, Brian, before you go, you got to flash us.
Oh, yeah, flash us.
Okay.
Just kidding. Oh.
Look at his eyes. They're bulging out of his face.
He's waiting for us to flash.
What was that, a gang sign or the OC? I'm fucking, that's...
Calabitches.
Come on, you got to do it.
Calabitches.
Oh, but I have to do it backwards.
You have to do it. Do it back to us.
Wait. So...
Yes.
Woo!
Look at that.
That's what I'm talking about. Nailed it.
Thanks, Brian.
Bye, guys. Have fun.
Bye.